Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the council meeting to order, please. Is there any additions to the agenda? If not, could we have a motion to accept the agenda as presented? Do we have a seconder? Oh, I got to go back to Old Canada, though. All right. Could we all stand for the Plain Old Canada, please? Thank you. Did we have a seconder for that motion to approve the agenda? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. I think, Paul, just the two of you coming for the presentation tonight, I'll move you up now if you wish, instead of, you're a little farther down the agenda, but it'll free your evening up for you if you want to come now. If you want to present now, I should say. Sure. Just press the red button there and your light will flash and I'll turn you on. On the mic. Okay, you're good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Now I have another red button to press. Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for providing us the opportunity to come in before council this evening. I'm pleased to be here with our board chair, Shirley D'Entremont, and we're here to talk a little bit about our upcoming capital campaign. And our campaign is entitled Enhancing Healthcare. And sort of a subtitle is From Diagnosis to Treatment. And it's certainly making a difference when we all work together. Now, I'm used to to having a mouse in front of me. Just a space bar to move it forward? Okay, thank you. Great. Okay. Great to have that kind of help over our shoulder here. So one of the things we like to certainly let everyone know that whenever we go into a campaign, we have our very important funding partners. The Women's Auxiliary always step forward in any campaign with a lead gift, and they have already done so, and perhaps our board chair will fill you in a little later on what that lead gift was. Our two top tiers when we go into campaign are the Women's Auxiliary and the town and municipal units. Then we work with our businesses and our individuals for the major gift component of the campaign, and also then we go to the community and we approach our community through our various, for example, our spring gala coming up just this Saturday night, and also the Jody Shelley Golf for Health. We have direct mail appeal. So these are our sources of funding when we do enter into campaign. And special thanks to the municipality of the District of Yarmouth, because you certainly have been there along with us every step of the way since the 90s. And so it's over $500,000 that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth that has contributed towards three major endeavors: the hospital expansion campaign, our MRI campaign, and the diagnostic imaging campaign. So we're kind of going full circle in a way as we're coming back to the diagnostic imaging campaign, by the way, encompassed the CAT scan 11 years ago. And like all equipment, it does have a lifespan, especially with the technological type and high end that we do have today. So when you think of the support, I guess when you just look at this overhead of our beautiful hospital complex, I think the municipality of the District of Yarmouth can be very, very proud of their involvement, of your involvement in establishing and growing our healthcare in our community. And one of the things we always like to come back to, and I'm not going to read it verbatim, I'm sure you can, but just to echo the words of Mrs. Ruth Pink, who was one of the chairs of the hospital expansion campaign, along with her late husband, Irving Pink, she really stresses that healthcare and supporting healthcare continues, and it grows no matter what. Sustaining a hospital, the work is never done. And she's absolutely right. I think we will all agree with that. And that brings us to where we're at today, meeting the healthcare needs of today. Again, full circle. The needs have been identified. Our top priorities going into this year were the new CAT scan. It was very important that we replace this particular unit. And also, moving forward with new initiatives, the medication management system was identified as a top priority as well. So between both of these initiatives, it's just $754,000 as we're looking at, and that, by the way, represents 25% of the overall cost. And when we look at the high priority of the CAT scan, it was because of the fact that this older machine they were experiencing in the diagnostic imaging department frequent breakdowns. So of course it does pose a risk to patients when we have the risk of the unit breaking down, and if it did break down entirely, we know it's an absence of service, which again really jeopardizes, puts the health of the individuals in jeopardy. The benefits of the new CAT scan are always paramount, front and center. And of course, the advanced software allows more confident diagnosis. One of the things with the new CAT scanner is the low-dose lung screen is now possible, so that's a very important feature. And advanced cardiac imaging is also a prominent feature. So these are very important points to bring out with the new CAT scan. The additional benefits, of course, when we look at our patient safety, 40 to 80% reduction in radiation, depending on the type of test, of course, that is conducted. We never lose sight of the fact with any new equipment that we do bring to our regional health center, the physician recruitment component is always, as we know, a challenge, and it's paramount to make sure that we have the type of equipment here that will attract both physicians and technologists to our hospital. So very, very important benefit of this equipment. The other piece of the equation is the medication management system, and we look at this as phase 2. For those of you who may not be aware of, last year we funded phase 1, the foundation did, on its own through its annual fundraising appeals, and it was so successful. It was rolled out in the Emerge department, and this particular not unit actually, it's a whole process, and it was very successful in the delivery of medications, and especially in the area of patient safety. That was really a high point with it. Unlike the CAT scan is used, of course, in diagnosis and in trauma. With the medication management system, almost every patient who enters the hospital receives or requires medication at some point. And here's a quick visual of the before and the after. When you look on the right, you can see the just like a medication cabinet, and the risk of reaching for a wrong prescription bottle is quite high. And it actually, in any hospital, it's one of the most common errors that can be made are surrounding prescription drugs. And when you see on the right, with the new medication management system in place, it's called unit dose, and it's individual packages that's barcoded, and even accessing the whole system, you swipe your finger to gain access on it, those that are cleared to actually access the prescriptions. So the benefits of the medication management system, of course, I just mentioned patient safety and reduces the possibility of error. And it increases the amount of time that nurses and pharmacy staff can spend with the patient. So these are very, very important patient-driven reasons to have this system. And another thing is that the drugs are more readily accessible. And what we mean by that is the fact that prior to having the medication management system in place, it took approximately 2.5 hours to have a prescription brought from the pharmacy to bedside. And now, with the new system, it's about 30 minutes. So that's a tremendous benefit, of course, with the new system. One thing I will mention about the medication management system is that the Yarmouth Regional Hospital was amongst the 10% of hospitals across the country that did not have a medication management system in place. So we're very, very pleased to be able to support this. And now we're going to see if we can get our infamous video going here. And so we can, I hear that the volume is not quite what it should be on it, so I think we actually touched something I shouldn't. So.
How did you get?
You just go back. There we go.
Okay, so.
And what we're trying to bring up here is Dr. Joel Surrett has some comments about the new CAT scan, and Nancy McLaughlin, who is the district
Yarmouth
manager.
Regional Hospital, like many hospitals in the province, rely on the help of a hospital foundation to provide updated equipment. Recently, the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation has aided in the purchase of 2 key pieces of equipment that benefits both patients and staff.
The foundation has obviously been a long-term supporter of our department. I've been here for a little over 5 years myself, and even during the time I've been here, there's been several significant pieces of equipment acquired with the support of the foundation, and they've been integral in that process a number of times. This piece of equipment, the new CT scanner, is a particularly important piece of equipment. Any modern hospital needs to have a current, up-to-date CT scanner. The foundation has been a long-term, strong supporter of our department, and we've been very fortunate to have that track record. These pieces of equipment are very expensive from a capital perspective, from a logistic perspective, and getting things done. And in fact, the province, I understand, would not have been able to move forward at the time that we did without a commitment from the foundation to support this acquisition.
Ms. Hubbard, have you ever had a CT scan before? No.
And both from the patient and staff's perspective, there are multiple benefits thanks to the new CT scanner.
A lot faster. Patients, they notice it is quicker. They're in and out a lot quicker. We have some patients that are, they're concerned, they're claustrophobic. So speed is an essential element for those patients. So it definitely benefits them.
And the resolution of our images are just that much greater.
the way we can do studies, angio studies and stuff like that, to be able to follow the flow of blood through the heart and down through the rest of the body with a faster piece of equipment, because it doesn't take long for the blood to leave the heart and go into the rest of the body. So if you can have a piece of equipment that actually keeps up with it, your images are going to be fantastic.
There is radiation associated with producing these images. This new scanner has significantly lower radiation levels associated with producing diagnostic quality image that we need to make a diagnosis than the old scanner.
Another area of the hospital that has seen a major change is the pharmacy department. How medications are delivered to patients has been given a very important update.
Previous to our med management system, we had a traditional antiquated system of delivering medications to patients, where we would send things to patients either via ward stock on the floor, so bulk bottles of medications on a med room on the floor, or we send it in vials, sort of like you would get in a community pharmacy. Now, when we have them in the Unisys packages, they are reusable because they haven't been compromised in any way. And they're all noted for expiry date, et cetera, but they can be reused, which is fantastic. It's a huge cost saving.
But by far, the most important reason for upgrading any equipment is safety.
The foundation has been absolutely fantastic in supporting this system. It was a huge capital outlay. It was a tremendous amount of money, but they saw the benefits in terms of patient safety. It will remind mom here getting medications, this is how I would want to get them.
For more information on the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation, visit their website. In Yarmouth, I'm Michael McDonald for Eastlink Magazine.
And again, I apologize for the poor audio on that. This is a work in progress and our first attempt at actually doing a video, so I thank you for bearing with us. But I'm hoping the verbal leading up to the video gives an overall view of what it is that we're trying to do this year to support and enhance our hospital as a community and regional center of excellence in healthcare. So now we're open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you for the presentation, and of course keeping pace with technological evolution change is important, and both of those projects are excellent. I guess my question would be the medical delivery system. Is that currently in place and you're funding sort of after the fact, or?
That's correct. It is currently in place, and the reason that it is was for the CAT scan itself, the need was so great it had to be replaced right away. For the medication management system, the combination of the two, there was actually 75% of government funding that was available, and if the foundation did not move to commit its 25%, our hospital was at risk of losing the 75%. That's under the current funding formula of today.
Right, and I certainly appreciate I guess the high point of the presentation for me was sort of indicating that you know, this is important in physician and other professional recruitment, and those are the people we need to build a community, certainly, and fully supportive of your request. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you both for coming in and making the presentation. And we'll be forwarding this to budget, so I'm assuming, yeah.
I'd like to just hand it over to our board chair for a final few comments.
I'm sorry.
And for the record, just
okay.
For the actual ask itself. So
good. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. I'm happy to be here and to see all of you. As Councillor Cunningham so adequately said, it's so very important that we support our healthcare system here in Yarmouth. I can tell you that I have been not a patient, but a spouse of a patient of many, many hospitals throughout our married life, from Boston to Halifax and beyond. And you can rest assured that the Yarmouth Health Centre ranks up there with all of them. But it's so important that we have it here and we have the best equipment so that our community residents do not need to travel that far. That is so important to us. The CAT scan, as you can see, was a piece of equipment that had reached the end of its life. And it was brought here basically and almost installed before we got on board. Unfortunately, that's the way that some of these things work in this day and age, and I'm sure you're well aware of how government works. They make the decision, and then we have to play catch up. And that's what we're doing now. But these pieces of equipment are so important. The medication management, if you see it, it looks like a little strip of medication. There might be two medication in a little foil package. It's not a foil package, a plastic. It's sealed tight. And so, for example, if the patient has been discharged or the patient no longer needs that medication, this little packet can go back into the system. It's not money wasted. Less contamination. The nurses are only allowed to go in, for example, the addictive drugs that are prescribed. They have a set limit that they can go into only for that amount of time, and then it beeps to let them know that they've reached their limit and can no longer access that drug. So these are very, very important pieces that we have here. They are both on site, and I'm sure if you have an opportunity, they would be very welcome to see you there to have a peek at them. They're very, very good pieces of equipment. So we're here this evening to ask for your support. We're very fortunate that the Women's Auxiliary has already committed $150,000 to this campaign, which represents about a 20% of the cost that we're raising this year. We can also report that the Barrington and Clarks Harbor councils have also committed to their support for the amount requested. So if you have any questions, any more questions, anything else? I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Feel free to let us know if you have any concerns.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I guess to Paulette, I've read down through the presentation, and I'm at the CT scanner, and it said the foundation has pledged to raise $25,000. In brackets, it says $359,000. That is the foundation's commitment, the $359,000.
That's correct. That's 25% of the cost of the CAT scan.
Okay, and then it goes down to the medication management system, and your 25% of that is $395,000.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want, because in your covering letter, it asks 210 from the municipal units.
Yes.
Okay.
The combined from 6 units.
From the 6 units.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
No other questions?
I guess not.
Okay.
They'll ask a few when it comes to budget, I'm sure. So,
I'm sure. And if you have any questions at all, you can certainly, the contact information is there. Shirley is going to leave you with a hard copy. I know everyone received through email the digital copy, but any questions that you may have, my business card is inside, and I'm very accessible and happy to answer any questions at all.
Okay. Again, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you very
caught me a
much.
little off guard when you ask questions. Sometimes they bring support. I should have asked first if you had to, really, but that's my mistake. I apologize for that.
No
Thank
problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
Okay, we'll move back up to approving the minutes. You have them there in front of you, and if there's no errors or omissions, a motion would be in order to accept those meetings, the minutes of those 6 meetings. If someone wanted to do that, Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Warden. I'll make a motion to accept the, to accept all of the following minutes. Regular meeting, February 26th, in-camera meeting, February 26th, special meeting, February 27th, special meeting, March 3rd, Committee of the Whole meeting, April 9th, and the in-camera meeting, April 9th as well, all in 2014.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? So second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. Warden's remarks, I don't know if anybody heard, but the boat was in last week. I have to admit, at first it was a little anticlimactic because we've been working so hard that when it did come in the harbor, but you could feel the excitement starting to gather as it come up the harbor and the people started shouting and waving, etc. I also would like to bring to your attention, especially those that are watching, that the spring newsletter is out and the dates for your spring pickup, etc. are on there. So if you have the days that they'll be coming around to do that. Having said that, we'll move on to business horizon. We have recommendations from committee of the whole. So first one would be to repeal the Hebron Industrial Park tax exemption bylaw. Go ahead.
I'll move that we repeal the Hebron Park industrial tax exemption bylaw.
Do we have a seconder for that? Okay. Question here, none? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you. Okay, so we have, all right. We have a recommendation from committee of the whole to forward the request from the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation to sponsor the hospital gala to the next municipal council meeting. So, good.
I'll move that we support a sponsorship of the Yarmouth Hospital Gala, a table. I think that's what we discussed at the at the committee of the whole. So, be my motion.
Have a seconder? Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. Request for records shredding. It's a recommendation of the committee of the whole to forward the request to destroy accounts payable 06, 07 documents and payroll 2006 documents to the next municipal council meeting. What's the wishes of council on that? Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. Request for record shredding. Taxation Department. It is a recommendation of the committee of the whole to forward the request to destroy 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007 tax reports, grants, address changes, and correspondence. 2007, 2008 check stubs, receipts. 2005, 2006, 2007 dog tags to the next municipal council meeting. What's the wishes of council? Second. Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. February Development Report. It is a recommendation of the committee of the whole to accept the February Development Report. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. And last, the March Development Report is a recommendation of the committee of the whole to accept the March Development Report. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. We now will move on to recommendations from the Bylaw Review Committee. First it would be Sewer Bylaw S-084-05 proposed amendment. Dread.
I move to approve where are we? The second reading of the sewer bylaw S-084-05 proposed amendment.
Approve first reading and proceed to second reading.
Really close.
We do that on purpose, Drew.
Yeah, I think so. To approve the first reading and proceed to second reading of the sewer bylaw S-084-05 proposed amendment.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. The next on the list would be the first reading of South Ohio Wastewater Management Bylaw S088-97, proposed amendment. Councillor.
Right, I'll move that we approve the first reading of the South Ohio Wastewater Management Bylaw proposed amendment.
Do it. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. That'll go to the second reading and public notifications. The next one is the fees policy F-044-02, which proposed amendment, which we only need to make a motion to accept the amendment. It doesn't go for a second reading.
I'll move that we accept the proposed amendment to the fees policy F-044-02.
Okay, how come? Do we have a seconder for that? Oh, sorry, Rick. Further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor.
This sewer capital recovery fee, for anyone that may be watching this, it's being reduced from $2,250 down to $1,000. As I stated before when we discussed this, I am a little bit concerned on what the cost is going to be after the fact, because if you don't get it on the sewer recovery, you're going to have to get the money back for upgrades and upkeep of the whole system on the people who use it. And I just want every councillor here to be aware that if we do lower this capital recovery fee when people hook in, we're going to have to collect it somewhere else. So I'm just making sure that all councillors are fully aware before they pass this, that this is going to happen. It will have to happen. Either that or what we're going to have to do is going to be the rest of the municipality subsidizing the sewer system when we say we have a $20,000 or $30,000 pump bill. I just want everyone to be well aware of that.
I'm not so certain that those are the actual facts around this amendment and fee schedule. The dropping of the fee from rather steep $2,000 plus per hookup to a much reduced fee, $1,000, and then it gets progressively lower depending on the number of units and so forth in a building. I think that will promote development, and I think we can recapture a lot of the lost revenue from lowering the fee through increased development in the municipality. And there are developers that want to put units in our municipality. So I think before we go raising sewer rates, we should be looking at what impact lowering this has actually had in terms of overall development and in terms of having additional building in the municipality and the tax revenue that generates. So I think we need to do an analysis of that before we look at raising sewer rates. So I'm hoping that this drop in charges will actually be at least cost neutral and maybe even benefit our bottom line.
Thank you both, councillors, both valid points. So, moving on, we have one more proposed. We already made the motion and voted on it, didn't we? The bylaw sewer? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we'd already moved on to. How did we get away from it and get down into the?
Discussion on the motion.
Anyway, question on the motion. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, one nay. Personnel policy, housekeeping amendments. We need a motion to move forward with that, or Councillor?
Mr. Warden, I'll make the motion that we amend the personnel policies as circulated. And it's, again, the changes are wording in nature.
Seconded. Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move down to new business. You have before you request for grants. So, do you wish to move those forward to budget?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move all these grants to budget time. Do you want me to list them all?
I don't think we need to listen, do we? There's no time-sensitive ones there, so I'm
I don't.
just to go 7.1 down to 7 point whatever in your
I'd like
motion,
to move all
Councillor.
the requests for grants 7.11 down to 7.1.15 to budget time.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Question?
Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. Moving on to 7.2. What's that? Councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll make a motion to destroy the documents, the table entitled 1997 superseded / obsolete to be destroyed.
Also second.
Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. .3 is a request for a new driveway. Is that a recommendation? They've looked at it, okay. Public Works has looked at that, and that's a recommendation, so. Deputy Warden.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I would make a motion that we accept the proposed name change to Laurie's Lane of the new driveway / laneway off the Highway 340 in Forest Glen.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. Next one is the spring cleanup schedule. So moving on. We have to appoint an alternate to the Yarmouth International Airport Commission. Councillor?
Yes, I'd like to nominate John Cunningham as an alternate member of the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation.
Any discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. 7.6 is a letter from the Department of the Environment. If y'all had a chance to read that. What do you need to do with that? Just information? There's no further discussion. We'll move on. That was for your information. Okay? 7.7. Councillor?
Right, I received an email from a local resident concerning trap neuter release program, and circulated that to the warden and SAO, and I think everybody actually got a copy of that. And I guess I know that our grants deadline has passed. However, seeing that we have moved a number of these grant requests to budget, I would ask that we consider a request from the trap neuter and release program during this budget cycle. So I'll make that a motion that we do consider this, because there was an email and we haven't yet gotten to the budget. So this one request, I'd ask for an exemption and to allow us to consider that during budget for funding.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you. 7.8, Councillor Cunningham.
Right, a citizen group was formed as part of the All Hands on Deck initiative. Very good. I attended a meeting downtown a week or so ago, and anyway, there was some conversation about cleaning up the route down to the lighthouse, and the committee learned subsequently that that's already been being taken care of, and has been for the last number of years, and will be in the future by a local citizen group. So that's good news. People taking care of the roads, cleaning up the garbage and so forth, making the community presentable. So that's excellent. Having said that, I was able to contact Mr. Moses, the committee, since I was on it. So what we've done is we've sort of refocused our efforts, and we're going to do some of Route 1 and some of Route 340, because that's also, if not the second most traveled route, the third, or it's up there in terms of tourist traffic with the new ferry coming in. So Saturday, May 3rd, beginning at 8 o'clock, that citizen group is going to be out, including myself, to pick up some garbage along the roadside and beautify the area. So I think that's the good news, that the community members are taking charge and making Yarmouth and Yarmouth County look even better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Remind me, I might go give you a hand. If I don't forget, and I don't think I will go give you a hand. Anyway, and anyone else interested, I'm sure they appreciate the help. 7.9 is the new WRAN agreement. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been a while coming. The Western Regional Enterprise Network is something that I think we're already can be proud of. The board of directors that we have for that is undoubtedly the envy of the province. We've got some real very, very high caliber people that are going to help guide this next generation of economic development in our region. This particular region and this intermunicipal agreement that I'm going to ask for council support on today includes both the town and the municipality of Digby, municipality of Clare, the town of Yarmouth, Argyle, and municipality of Yarmouth. So we're coming together officially with this intermunicipal agreement, and we're going to work together to make sure this region has the opportunity to take advantage of all, I guess, all the opportunities we can by working together. So with that, I would put forth the motion that we accept the intermunicipal agreement for the Western Regional Enterprise Network. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I know you and the rest have done a lot of hard work. So do we have a seconder for that motion? Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. You have before you your committee reports and other reports. Is anything outstanding on any of those, Councillor Cunningham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did not send in a report for YASTA because YASTA is going to be meeting on, I got my calendar here, on April the 29th. It'll be this Tuesday. The hiring committee is going to be putting forth a recommendation to hire for a new GM. That decision has not been made yet, so I cannot let you know who he and or she may be. And also, when the board gives that recommendation, we also have to contact the successful candidate. So this has been a long time coming. Obviously, with the ferry coming down the harbor and the demise of Destination Southwest Nova, it's very important that YASTA move forward, and that's exactly what we are doing. So just wanted to advise the council and the people listening what's going on there, because I had said that we were holding off. So finally, we're making a decision, hopefully. Also, on April the 15th, the Planning Advisory Committee had a meeting, and one thing that we talked about that's very interesting is telecommunications structures amendment discussion. Back, we remember when we passed the municipal planning strategies and land use bylaws, there was a new village zone put up. That was in the Carleton Village Zone. And I never forget when we were sitting around the table and we were talking about allowed uses in the village zone. Well, telecommunication structures, which is one thing that was left out, and we have been approached by a company that wants to put up a high-speed cell tower out in that area. However, with the way our current bylaws are now, the telecommunication structures was left out in allowed use in the village zone. So that's currently one thing that we're working on. And another thing that we are working on, we all remember the instrument of subdivision presentation that we had by the Service Nova Scotia and the Justice Department. Well, the Planning Advisory Committee is currently working on that as well. So that's my report on those two committees, and I apologize for not setting them out in writing, but unfortunately time did not prevail, so I decided just to do them verbally. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councillor, and thank you for that. There's a lot of hard work goes into both those as a chair, so thank you. Any further discussion? A lot of those reports are pretty in-depth because some of them are a year in, so the information's there. Hearing none? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
On your approval and council's approval, I'd like to add one more agenda item, and it's only going to be short and sweet. It's a change of contact information for myself. So the wishes of the council to add that to the agenda.
Okay, we should be, no objection.
Okay,
And,
thank you very much, council. This is just to inform each and every one of you, I no longer have a home-based landline. My phone number, now 761-2147, is now defunct. Now the number that I can be contacted in is my cell phone number, which is area code 902-740-5332. Each and every one of you had that number before, and it was a number for only certain people, but now that's my home number. Also, I still can be contacted through the Carleton Stores phone number 761-3000, which is normal, but that number again that I can be contacted in is 740-5332.
Thank you for that update, Councillor. So here, no more reports. We'll move down to, I'm not sure, we had recommendations from in-camera meeting. I don't think. Okay. Can we have a motion to accept those reports? Do we have a seconder? All in favor? Contrary, nay. Thank you. And I don't think we had any recommendations from in camera. So that's the end of the agenda. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, gentlemen.